Hi guys, Victoria here. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the continuation of my previous video where we traveled to Vilnius in Lithuania, and from Vilnius we took a bus to Latvia, to the capital city, to Riga. It is a 4-hour bus ride and it cost around between 20 and 25 euros to take the bus. After our short bus ride, we arrived to Riga, where we spent 2 days, and now I'm going to show you the city and what we did and what we saw. So Riga is the second largest city in the Baltics after Vilnius. It is home to almost 600,000 inhabitants. The city accounts for a third of Latvia's total population. The city lies on the Gulf of Riga at the mouth of the Daugava River, where it meets the Baltic Sea. The city was founded in 1201 by Bishop Albert and was granted city status in 1225. Currently, you can see that we are at the restaurant of the Bremen's Musicians, which is right next to the St. Peter's Church. There is a statue with the town musicians of Bremen, which illustrates the famous tale by Grimm brothers featuring the donkey, the dog, the cat, and the rooster who stand atop each other. The monument was a gift to Riga made in 1990, when Latvia was still part of the Soviet Union, by the fraternal city of Bremen in Germany. It is said that rubbing the donkey's nose 3 times may bring luck. Locals, however, believe that rubbing it 4 times may considerably increase one's luck chances. Our tour guide the next day actually said that you get 25% luck if you rub the donkey, 50% if you rub the dog, 75% if you rub the cat, and 100% if you rub the rooster on top, which is quite difficult to reach. We are now arriving to the main square, which is actually the home of the House of the Blackheads, which is one of the most famous buildings in Riga. The original building was erected in 1334 as a warehouse, meeting and celebration place for merchants. It was the biggest public building of Riga at that time. Historically, the house's primary function was to promote entrepreneurship. It was a gathering place for merchants and sailors for several centuries. The soul of the House of Blackheads used to be the young and unmarried merchants, the brotherhood consisted of who stood out with their temperament and great passion for organizing various celebrations and cultural events. Their enthusiasm made this house one of the main cultural centers that set the pulse of public life throughout the city. The building and most of the old town was bombed to ruin in 1941 in a battle between Nazi Germany and Soviet armies. The remains were demolished by the Soviet government later on, and the building was only rebuilt between 1996 and 2000 based on studies by the Riga Polytechnic Institute. The funds were mainly provided by the city, and other funds were donated by people who wished to participate in the rebuilding project, which was called I Build the House of the Blackheads, and you could donate 5 lats, which is approximately between 7 and 11 euros. And for this money, people could place a brick in the wall themselves. The same square was also the site of the first ever decorated Christmas tree, which was erected here in 1510. So this is why there is a monument commemorating this on the square. In 1282, Riga became a member of the Hanseatic League, strengthening its position as an important trading city in the region. Riga's historical city center is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, noted for its Art Nouveau, or in German Jugendstil architecture, and 19th century wooden architecture. The Old Town of Riga is a popular entertainment district in the historical and geographical center of the Latvian capital, featuring cobblestone streets and an abundance of architectural gems. It features gorgeous medieval era buildings and unique sacral structures as well. We are now approaching Dome Square, which is the largest square in the Old Town. It is deemed to be the heart of the city, as all activities made here flown in from 7 streets like 7 arteries. The square has a marked point where you can stand and see all three golden cockerels on top of Old Town's churches. The square itself is surrounded by buildings from the 19th and 20th century. Among others, the Riga Cathedral, which is formerly the Cathedral Church of St. Mary, which is an evangelical Lutheran cathedral, and it is the seat of the Archbishop of Riga. The church features a magnificent organ with outstanding sound, and every day they have a short, like 20-minute long concert that you can purchase tickets for, and it costs about 15 euros. The Old Town is a striking example of how cities were built back in the day. The buildings in the Old Town are varied and constructed during different periods of the history. Buildings in the growing city were structured by guilds of craftsmen and artists. It features over 500 buildings built in various architectural styles: Romanticism, Gothic, Mannerism, Baroque, Eclectic, Modernism. This is the Swedish Gate, which is part of the Old Town walls that went around Riga during the medieval times, serving as both fortification wall and as an important border for trade purposes. The gate was built in 1698 after the Polish-Swedish War was over and the Swedish kingdom took over the city. The Swedish Gate is the only remaining gate of the original 8 that once pierced the city walls. The gate served both practical and symbolic purposes, acting as a key entry point into the fortified city, while also representing the power and influence of the Swedish government. One of the unique features of the Swedish Gate is its well-preserved architectural style. The gate is characterized by its robust stone construction, arched passageway, and the distinct coat of arms of Sweden that adorns its facade. It seamlessly blends into the surrounding medieval buildings, creating a picturesque scene that transports visitors back in time. The next morning, we signed up for a free guided tour of Riga, a walking tour, which we met at the house with the cat, the cat house, which is a building in Old Town, which was built in 1909 according to the blueprint of architect Friedrich Scheffel. The building is styled as medieval architecture with some elements of Art Nouveau. It is known for the 2 cat sculptures with arched backs and raised tails on its roof. According to legend, the wealthy tradesman who commissioned the building was refused membership of the Riga Tradesmen's Guild, mostly just called the Great Guild. Seeking retribution, the tradesman had 2 copper statues of angry-looking cats with arched backs and raised tails placed on the turret rooftops, with their tails turned towards the house of the Great Guild just across the street. It was later ordered that the cats should be turned so as to face the guild house. Arsenals is a fine arts museum whose collection includes Baltic and Latvian art from the 18th century forward. It is one of the largest exhibition halls in the city, and it is located in a customs warehouse of the 19th century. The Ghost of Riga refers to this bronze sculpture, which was designed and created by Eva Rubedze in 2015. And it refers to a legend related to the Swedish Gate and the Swedish Latvian lovers whose love was obviously forbidden, and apparently the girl's ghost is still waiting for her soldier at the gate, and this is what the statue refers to. The Freedom Monument is honoring soldiers killed during the Latvian War of Independence between 1918 and 1920. It is considered as an important symbol of freedom, independence, and sovereignty of Latvia. Unveiled in 1935, the 42-meter high monument of granite, travertine, and copper often serves as the focal point of public gatherings and official ceremonies in Riga. The monument is made up of 56 sculptures divided into 13 sculptural groups on 4 levels, which depict Latvian history and culture. The core of the monument is composed of tetragonal shapes on top of each other, decreasing in size towards the top, completed by a 19-meter-high travertine column bearing the copper figure of Liberty lifting 3 gilded stars, which symbolize the 3 historic provinces of Latvia and national unity. The building of the National Opera is located on the bank of the Riga Canal, which is near the Freedom Monument. The grandiose building was unveiled in 1863 and was originally constructed and utilized as the Riga City Theatre building. The building itself was handed over to the Latvian National Opera in 1919. After lunch on our second day, we went to this place called Crumble Cake, which was recommended by one of my colleagues.
2 cases are called. The lemon cream cheesecake will be the closest to the Hydro Classic cheesecake, only of course more lemony, and blueberry cheesecake is going to be refreshing. It's not as sweet.
What I liked about this place is that they have a collection of vintage cups, coffee cups and tea cups, and they serve their coffees and teas in these vintage cups with also second-hand vintage spoons. They have a selection of all over the world. I found some Hungarian and German porcelains in their collection. So we just had a cake and a coffee before heading to another part of town to checking out the Art Nouveau architecture of the city. The artistic style known as Nouveau first appeared at the turn of the century and certainly was a fresh approach and stunning in its diversity, from ornate entrances, building facades to minimalistic detail. Art Nouveau considered functionality as a key guiding light for the new look, interior design and selection of furnishings with many innovative touches. Riga was one of the cities at the forefront of the style's active use, and the examples of it are truly bold and vibrant. Riga has one of the largest collections of Art Nouveau buildings in the world, with at least 800 buildings. This is due to the fact that at the end of the 19th century and beginning of the 20th century, when Art Nouveau was at the height of its popularity, Riga experienced an unprecedented financial and demographic boom. In the period from 1857, its population grew from 282,000 to 472,000 in 1913. The middle class of Riga used their acquired wealth to build imposing apartment blocks outside the former city walls. Between 1910 and 1913, between 300 and 500 new buildings were built each year in the city, many of them in Art Nouveau style and most of them outside of Old Town. Albert Street is best known in Riga for its Art Nouveau buildings. It was built in 1901 and named after Bishop Albert, who founded the city in 1201. Many of the apartment buildings along this street were designed by the architect Mikhail Eisenstein, who was particularly active in Riga at the beginning of the 20th century. His creativity is reflected through the various atypical decorative buildings along this street. The architectural style makes use of structural and decorative elements of Romantic nationalism common to Northern Europe at that time. On our last morning, we went to the Riga Central Market, which was quite near to where we were staying, and it is also nearby to the bus terminal where we left our luggage for the day and we went on our adventures. So first to the market, since it was pouring rain, so we wanted to stay inside, and we also had lunch here. The market is situated in the heart of Riga, a few hundred meters from Old Town, on the banks of the river Daugava, next to the Riga International Bus Terminal and the Central Railway Station. It is not only one of the largest marketplaces in Eastern Europe, but also one of the most visited, as 40 to 50,000 people shop there per day on average. Architecturally imposing food pavilions built in the 1920s are Riga Central Market's calling card. Originally used as military airship hangars, they were later transformed into market venues. You can buy Latvian-grown and homemade products, exotic fruits and spices, as well as manufactured merchandise. The market includes 5 pavilions, each with its own category: vegetables, dairy, meat, fish, and gastronomy products, as well as an outdoor area with stalls and stands, the night market, and round-the-clock farmers market. The river Daugava has been a trade route since antiquity, part of the Vikings' Dwina-Dnieper navigation route to Byzantium. The site of today's Riga has been recorded as Duna Urbs as early as the 2nd century. It was settled by the Livs, a Finnic tribe. Riga began to develop as a center of Viking trade during the early Middle Ages. Riga's inhabitants engaged mainly in fishing, animal husbandry, and trading, later developing crafts including bone, wood, amber, and iron. Now we are heading to the National Library of Latvia. The current building is known as the Castle of Light. The first discussions about the need for a new national library began as early as 1928. And the significance of the project of this century was confirmed by high-level international recognition of the value of its collections. The parliament finally authorized the new building to be constructed on the left bank of the river Daugava. In 2008, construction started according to the design of noted Latvian-American architect Gunnar Birkerts, who had been based in the Detroit, Michigan area since the early 1950s. He had been commissioned to design the building in 1989. He was inspired by the Castle of Light and Glass Mountain from Latvian mythology. The new building has 13 floors and is 68 meters high. Today, the National Library of Lithuania building is the dominant landmark of the Riga cityscape. It has space for conferences and conventions and other community events. you could see, after visiting the library, we were continuing our walk. We went to the Orthodox church, then we crossed the river back to the Old Town, finishing up our city tour with another stroll in Old Town, and then we headed for dinner before heading to the airport, which is just a short bus ride from the city center. For €2 or €2.50 you can buy a ticket for the bus, which will take you directly to the airport. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you like travel vlogs, then make sure to subscribe. If you haven't seen the vlog from Lithuania, then make sure to check it out. I'm going to link it down below, and I'm hoping to see you at my next videos. Until then, goodbye.